Awesome.
Ah, beautiful. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing
Good.
good. I am doing good. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, likewise, and thanks for the invite. Excited to be here. Excited to start the Monday strong. Happy
Exactly.
Monday for everyone.
Happy
GM.
Monday. GM. Awesome. Cool. Well, of course, appreciate having you on. We had some pretty exciting news about a week or so ago. But for people who aren't familiar with you, Henry, or aren't familiar with Picasso, first of all, how? But second of all, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone and maybe a little bit about the project?
Yeah, happy to. Excited to be here. Um, if you haven't looked at Picasso and the work that we've done, we've been around since 2021, and we've always had the mission of building secure transfer infrastructure, bridging. So specifically, we're the only team that has live inter-blockchain communication protocol, IBC, which we believe is the most robust transfer protocol that any ecosystem can use, but popularized and mainly started from Cosmos through a lot of engineering feats and engineering milestones. We were able to basically establish connection between first Polkadot and Kusama to Cosmos using the IBC. And then shortly after that, we had established connection between Ethereum to Cosmos and now Solana to Cosmos, which was the most recent and most exciting connection that we have that to allow any Cosmos chains or any Ethereum chains, Ethereum projects and ERC20 assets to freely flow through Cosmos and freely flow through Solana as a native asset. So when you transfer those assets, it's ERC20 to become CW20 or ICS20, which is the standard for IBC, and then becomes SPL, which is on Solana. So for the user's perspective, you can have any token on Ethereum on Solana wallets like Solflare or Phantom and vice versa. So we have some exciting things in the books for the next coming weeks for our Mantis project, which is building on top of Picasso. So stay tuned and follow us on Picasso and at Mantis, Mantis, and hopefully we can share some more.
Can you give the audience a little teaser about what Mantis is, or should we straight away?
Yeah, no, it's actually we're starting to reveal a little bit more. It's the we're building an SVM rollup on Solana. Now that rollup concept is very different from Ethereum rollup. We're not we're going to see really no fragmentation and liquidity and using a lot of the things that are already built on Solana. So it's exciting to build on SVM and further enter into the Solana ecosystem and help it scale from here. So yeah, we're one of the first teams that are building this SVM rollup, and our rollup will have the IBC components to this, and which touches on chain abstraction, and we hope to become the execution layer that can execute anywhere on Solana, Ethereum, Cosmos, and any chain. And excited to partner with XION on some of these things as well to make it easier to onboard users to give the users best experience as the execution layer on top of Solana.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to work on it too. I think, we've been talking a little bit about it, and I think this is the start of something very, very exciting. And I think with everything that you guys are doing at Picasso and everything, with the roll up, I think only lends for extremely, extremely, extremely exciting use cases and probably the most, exciting time. I do have one question though, because I have known Picasso for many, many years, and you guys have always been kind of this stable name in interoperability. Can you tell us about how, you've had a little bit of a history, maybe walk us through the history of Picasso, and then what made you land on Solana, and then what made you land on Solana, kind of this L2?
Yeah, for sure. It's a very what it feels like a really long ride, right? Since 2021, since we announced that we're going to expand IBC to different ecosystems. So initially, we were a Polkadot project and Picasso was actually on Kusama. So the Mantis development has always been part of the plan since 2021 because we have a two token structure, like many other Polkadot projects. We decided to keep it, and by far, I think Picasso is probably the most successful and still around, quote unquote, original Kusama project, which now we don't call ourselves that because we have an L1 that uses the Cosmos SDK. So from that history, we've adopted the best tech that we saw that is open source, which is IBC, and that brought us into the Cosmos ecosystem. And very quickly, we became the pioneers of the work that no one else has able to achieve, which was trying to bring Ethereum liquidity and open up the channel between Cosmos and Ethereum. And I think what folks are most surprised about is, we launched the Polkadot Bridge earlier in 2023. So we were kind of in building mode for 2021, 2022. Not until 2023, we launched the Polkadot to Cosmos to Kusama connection. And very quickly, within 5-6 months, we launched the Ethereum connection. And very quickly, 6 months later, we launched the Solana connection when no other teams has launched any connections outside of Cosmos. So it's a testament to all the hard work that we've done during that, I guess, bear market during 2021 and 2023 for 2 years. A lot of folks were wondering, why wasn't there enough progress and where's the project? And I think we proved everyone that, we were in fact building something really, really hard for 2 years. And 2023 was the year to show the world what we're capable of. And, beginning this year, we show the Solana connection. And I think at this point, no one's really questioning our ability to execute and build things now. So that's kind of a short history.
I don't think anyone has, man.
Yeah, well, there was a sentiment, because there's a lot of projects in 2021 that faded away, that walked away, right? So we have this kind of chip on our shoulders. It was like just wait, we're gonna build this. We're gonna show the world what we're able to do. So we still have that mentality of chip on the shoulders because the Mantis project is a promise that we made in 2021. So we're really excited to again show the world what we're capable of, and we just have a lot of pride in the work that we do. So we still feel like an underdog, which is good.
It's good to feel like the underdog. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand that feeling, especially, I think anyone who's in this industry for a while, everything takes time, and, you go through the bulls and the bears, and there's a sense of reward coming out of the bear with still the same mission and still the same vision. So I definitely applaud you for that. And it's really nice to see that you guys are still working on the same stuff and, becoming a genuine household name in interoperability. I do have I do have one question. Yeah, of course. I mean, it's admirable. I mean, but I do have one question, especially, I think, you kind of came 2021, you have Layer 0 and Wormhole and, a bunch of these, kind of other interop solutions. Is there, and I guess maybe taking a step back, give a little, for the people who don't really understand a lot about IBC, maybe a quick few bullet points. And then, obviously we love IBC as well. But from your perspective, what is it about IBC that you're like, yo, this is it?
Yeah. So I've been thinking a lot about this, right? Because we're in this world really deep in it, and how we compare it to other, I guess, different solutions and different options that the users have. And I think Layer 0 has implemented a very interesting solution where they rely on a big corporate partner, whether it's Google Cloud or Chainlink, to make these transfers very quickly.
Yep.
But the transfer that they make is actually, I think what we have to really realize is that transfer is not just transferring. So there's actually two things happening here, right? So there's one is the bridge an asset from one ecosystem to the other ecosystem, right? Say you bring ETH into Solana, for example, right? And you basically lock up the contract in Ethereum, and then Ethereum also shows up on the Solana ecosystem, right? And then there's the swapping, actually swapping from one ecosystem to another ecosystem to another asset. So I have ETH on Ethereum and I want to swap to Sol on Solana as an example, right? So I think a lot of the other solutions honestly, and from I've seen so far. Um, like layer zero, for example, they're really good at swapping, right? You haven't really seen layer zero bringing one asset from one ecosystem to the other.
Hmm.
What does that mean? That means that like when you're swapping, you're still only relying on the native assets within another ecosystem. So you're not really enabling DeFi, this cross ecosystem DeFi, having an asset from one ecosystem to be used in the other, right? So that's a huge difference. And same thing with Wormhole. Wormhole is looking to push their own solution for kind of lock and mint or burn and mint, or however it works on their side. And dbridge is another solution, which I'm very impressed by Alex, and I've known him since 2021. They've pivoted many times doing L2 stuff and really hit home with Solana. So applaud them for all the hard work they've done. And I honestly think from swapping standpoint and cross-chain swaps, I think dbridge is probably winning against everybody from Wormhole to layer zero to everybody, which is admirable to see because they were a small team and didn't raise hundreds of millions of dollars like Wormhole and layer zero. So I'm a big fan of dbridge, and we hope to have a comparable solution on the swapping side. But the bridging side, I truly think that there's really no other better solution than the IBC. That's clearly the most trusted for the last 3 4 years, never had any issues, and it's as pure as it gets from chain A to chain B, um, connection. So if you want to move your asset from actually move your asset from say Cosmos, say Zion Network to Ethereum, to Solana, there's really not a point to use layer zero or wormhole in that case when you already have IBC connections. So you can control everything on the Zion Network and Cosmos, and your asset can go flow into different, ecosystem, and it can be used in DeFi, lending, borrowing, whatever it may be, using the applications like Jupiter. So in that use case, I think most people kind of group all of these things into one. It's like, oh, you're just doing bridging. But like bridging is not just bridging, right? So you have bridging the asset, and then you have the trans and the cross-chain swaps. So we're going to have both solutions, but I think IBC is particularly strong on bringing asset from one ecosystem to the other, because it's the most secure. So hope that answers
Yeah.
this question.
No, I mean, I think, for us, what we do wouldn't really be possible without, without IBC. And I think that's a phenomenal point. Then I'll probably start to dive into a little more, which is, in my mind, you kind of have like this bridging V1, which is swapping, as you said, right? And I think
Hmm.
dbridge is kind of doing this best. And then as we are kind of entering in this new V2 meta, which is chain abstraction, which is
Hmm.
reminiscent of like intent-based marketplaces, etc.
Hmm.
I think, is there, how far do you think into this a V2 do we are? And then what do you think the V3 to that is?
Yeah, good question. So the V1 is a swapping, right? So like Stargate, Layer Zero,
Yep.
Deep Bridge, Wormhole, all these guys have done, and it took us a little bit to kind of get to our sort of IBC connections. But I think with IBC we're at V2. V1 was the swapping stuff. So we kind of just we ours is swapping. You could swap and you can bridge over, but we have both. So I would say IBC gets us to kind of V2. Now the what we are right now is like V2 to V3, right? That's what we're talking about, intents and chain abstraction of like, okay, now that you can swap between different ecosystems, and you can actually bring the asset itself over to the different ecosystem, then the magic happens, right? So you can fully leverage this decentralized world, and DeFi, as we know it, and leverage assets from different ecosystems to do whatever, right? Whether it's trading
Definitely.
or staking or restaking, which we're excited about on our side for Picasso, to allow security to be flowing through different ecosystems to secure different types of things like Oracle and even other types of I guess bridging like L1 to L2, like sequencer and things like that. So yeah, so we're on to V2 to V3 is my personal opinion.
I love that. No, I mean, I think I couldn't agree more, especially on IBC already being V2. It's very funny because I think when you have a lot of these chain abstraction conversations, you then I would say like 15 minutes into the conversation, it's like, oh, you're actually just building IBC. Got it, understand. So we've been here for 3 years. So
Right.
I completely agree with you, and I think the concept of security, I think the concept of security is awesome, and I think providing for bridging, providing for oracles, I think these are incredible use cases. As you look into the future, especially with whether it be IBC or Picasso, what do you see that looking like in, let's say, like 5 years?
You know, what we hope to do is to create this sort of Web2 types of experience, um, but not, without the censorship, without the sort of someone overlooking, what you're trying to do all the time. So I think, having privacy on top of IBC, which is something that Mantis is doing some work on as well, um, and so and then having more connections are important. Telegram as an ecosystem that has really good user experience on the app. Bitcoin as an ecosystem has great assets that will be, uh, hopefully the backbone of our society or economy worldwide, right? So so those are the things gets really really interesting. Like Bitcoin L2s, even Solana L2s. We're in conversation about like, hey, why don't we just set IBC as a standard across all the rollups and L2s on Solana. How
Yep.
cool would that be, right? And it's like then everything's connected to folks like XION and everything else. So it's like we shouldn't be, like you said, like rebuilding the bicycle or rebuilding the car. We should build on top of the best tech that's existing, which is what we chose. And we hope that others build on top of us and integrate us in the back end and into their applications and DeFi. So this is first of many connections integrations that we hope to be successful with Zion. And what's the end state look like, or what's the next 5 years look like? I think it's the work that you guys are doing at Zion of bringing new users on board, right? So like when folks are coming on and they don't really care, like they don't have to choose an ecosystem, and they don't really care where they are, and hopefully not even care about gas fees or which tokens they have in the wallet in order to make a transfer, which for folks that have used USDT and it's like and it's not a regular holder of Tron or TRX, it's like, okay, well, I don't have TRX, and how do I send my USDT, right? So like those problems, hopefully we will resolve over the next 5 years, where someone can just come in and express their intent, express their whatever desire that they have, and say, hey, I want to have um, my NFT as a item or house, or transfer to a friend or transfer to whatever. So like actual properties are real world in their account that's securely transferred to another person buying and selling to increase full liquidity of the society of the world, right? Is I think
Exactly.
what we hope, honestly.
Nice. No, I could not agree more, and I think that working together is going to be extremely awesome. I think as it relates to the work that you guys are doing, it is the cornerstone of where we're trying to go, right? And especially with this conversation of interoperability and chain abstraction, it's quite nice to be at a point in the industry where composability and interoperability actually exist together. And like a rising tide raises all ships mentality. I do have
Yeah.
like on the Picasso, and I do actually have like one question. Obviously we're doing a lot of work with Metis, and we're doing a lot of work with Solana. Is the goal 100% Solana? Is there goals for other chains? How do you see the future in that aspect?
We believe that like on our side, Mantis working on Solana SVM, we clearly have a preference on um, the virtual machines that we chose. So we believe that SVM is one of the best tech that's out there, just like how we chose IBC. So we're really excited for that. So we want the experience to be fast and smooth, right? Which we've experienced in Solana.
Totally.
And what we don't want to experience is the congestion that Solana has faced. And with our work, actually, we're helping solving some of that problem, right? To take loads off of Solana to be able to execute on us, and you're not relying on the L1. We basically post it down to L1. So we rely on basically security from Solana and hopefully, none of the congestions and actually help scale Solana ecosystem, which is getting a lot of attention.
Nice.
So yes, but in the future, I think more and more, chains and L1s, like Cosmos chains, I think will basically, just like how we adopt IBC as the best tech, and there's going to be more and more tech that's going to be adopted by the Cosmos SDK chains, and there's already conversation around like a Cosmos SDK chain using SVM or using Move VM or whatever it may be. So we're still kind of in from an L1 infrastructure standpoint. There's still multiple layer ones that are competing for the best tech, right? Monad is coming out. Berachain is interesting. So all those guys will come out with new ideas, new theories, and they need to prove it out, right? So the users will choose through tech and marketing and experience, and we'll see in the next year or two how this is all going to shape up. But eventually, the best tech wins, which is what we're seeing with IBC. So if you give it long enough time, the best tech wins, right? The best experience wins. So we're still in the middle of it right now. So we'll see how this all plays out. We're making our bets.
I mean, I think it's clear that, you guys have been around for a while, that, you guys definitely have a track record of making the right bets. And so I think, I know we kind of started this earlier, right? Kind of proving yourself in a way, but I think, you guys are the project to be watching for, because, your track record, precedes you, of course. And I think as we look into the future, of course, you got to ask, what would you say that you're most excited about?
Um, I'm most excited about just enabling kind of financial freedom, or um, enabling kind of freedom in general for economies worldwide. If you truly think about it, and from a macro standpoint, and this is trying to see the forest that I often try to do, so I'm not just staring at a tree, right? Like we're building in tech all day, so sometimes we need to zoom out. Most of the economies around the world doesn't have a ton of liquidity in any of the assets within that economy, and it's still incredibly inefficient. I think many of us who probably are educated or have spent a lot of time in the U.S., where we forget that like the stock markets and the trading and all the liquidity we have, like you buy an Apple stock, you don't care about like you're not worried about like whether or not you can sell the Apple stock in a month or in a year. You can always sell that, right? But most of the countries in the world, they don't have a good financial system, and their assets are in real estate or in something very illiquid, right? And it's really difficult for them to buy and sell and trade. And if you look at society as a whole, and to enable faster, cheaper trading experience, it means you have more people trading. That means you have more liquidity. That means we have more freedom, right? And that freedom becomes really important if you are thinking about regimes and countries around the world that wants to limit that freedom of like, okay, I'm going to hold your asset, or I'm going to keep your money in your bank. You can't do anything with it. Such as we all know the countries like China or even Argentina, through the inflation, or Venezuela. So I think all the assets across all these different countries, and eventually they will flow to wherever that they can enable them to have the trading or the liquidity, so people have more freedom. And a really big part component of that is in enabling these ecosystems, a new ecosystem we're building, to securely go from one to the other, right? Which is what we chose to do with IBC. So if we're going to put all these, assets, like we're talking houses, cars, life insurance, whatever it may be, on chain, no one wants to say like, yeah, I have life insurance or I have a house on Ethereum, right? Like I just have a house, right? So like in
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, so that's kind of like the future that I'm excited about is enabling folks to be a full property, like have their full property rights and their own free will to do whatever they want. It's their own, right? So
Hmm.
I'm very libertarian in that sense, I guess.
I feel like a lot of people here are, especially in this industry. I think you get
Right.
a lot of that mentality, right?
Yeah. I mean, if it's yours, it's yours, right? Like you
Totally.
shouldn't have like it's like that. That's like fundamentally, it doesn't get any easier than that. And like for a government or platform, right, to like be able to censor you and say, hey, you can't have what's yours is like, to me, it goes against human rights and it's ridiculous. So
Yeah. No, totally. And I think, especially, it's pretty nice, especially like in the cypherpunk aspect of this industry where we're heading. And, I think a lot of the people here are building for something extremely similar. And, I think wherever you are on the building spectrum here, it's awesome because I think we all kind of share these very similar ideas of ownership and decentralization and censorship. And yeah, it is quite beautiful in a way.
exactly. And I just want to touch on how IBC kind of protects that, right? So for example, like and layer zero has like kind of this 2 out of 2 structure where you have, two confirmations and things goes through, right? Um, so if you censor one of them and then your transactions, you can't move things from one to the other. Wormhole has 18 guardians, right? So like majority of the 18 guardians says your transfer can't go through, then you're out of luck, right? So for us, we have validators on Picasso chain on the L1 level. So you have to have a 51% attack on Picasso network in order to really mess with IBC that we built, the connections that we built. So that we can't even censor it. So like anything that you pass through from Ethereum to Solana, it's like if through IBC, it's totally permissionless and censorship resistant. And that's the kind of tech that we're looking to build for years to come. From here. So fundamentally, we're here to stay.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you've shown that, right? Being building since 2021, the ups, the downs, it's the first bear market is always the hardest. But then everything after that kind of uh comes secondary. And I think once you survive that real first one, that chasm, if you would,
Right.
the future is limitless, right? And they always have like that one saying, right? Projects don't really run out of funding; they run out of energy. And I think
Yes.
the hardest moment is breaking through that first one, which you've clearly have with awesome results. And it's incredible to be on the stage with you, and it's been incredible to be working with the team and you. And I appreciate everything that we're working on together. But kind of without further ado, I know we're a little past time, and I want to be respectful of your time. Is there anything you'd want to tell the audience before we wrap up?
Yeah, we're just very excited about this chain abstraction future, right? So um, certainly, follow us and follow Zion and the work that we will be doing. Overall, we're just incredibly excited about the future, and hope everyone that's building, hope everyone that's working on anything in crypto to stay resilient and ignore the price action. I know that things have been
Always, yep.
dropping in the last couple of weeks. So I mean, things just come and go, right? Like, and as long as you're building great product, great tech that people want and need, and this industry is here to stay, and the product and the engineering that you're building is here to stay. So keep on building things with staying power, with long term in mind, and hopefully you know uh, the market will react in the next 6 months, which I'm very optimistic about institutional coming in and more and more
Bullish.
yeah, enthusiasm around ETH ETF and Bitcoin ETF. So hopefully Solana has its own moments as well. So yeah. So thank you for all of you guys for listening.
Of course, yeah. And thank you everyone for joining. Appreciate everyone for being here. Definitely follow Picasso and stay up to date. Very excited for medicine and everything. We're both working on with chain abstraction. Obviously, expect to hear a lot more soon. And have a great one, everyone. Talk soon. Bye.
Talk soon, guys.